I'm goofy. You have to forgive me. So this one is about screenwriting. All movies fall into like some base categories. The heart of the story is always like about life or death or toil or love or hate or sex or, struggle, that kind of thing. So all plots start with that. Even if you dress it up as like a sci-fi thing, out in space or whatever, at the heart of it is the human condition. And so what you have to do as a writer is you have to try to kind of take things from column A and B and C and D and put them together to where they look new. It's needy. Anyway, and where they, people are going to say, oh, hey, this is different. Do you mind? Anyway, but most people fail at that because everything's been done. I mean, there's no such thing as anything new in Hollywood, in movies. All you can do is try to make it a little fresher by going further over the edge of where people might not have gone before with more extreme, and a lot of time that ends up being sex or violence or language or whatever, which I think is a cheap way of doing that. But my screenplays tend to be very emotionally based, and the thing is they start with the seed of truth from my own life. I mean, it's highly fictionalized, but there's something in it at the heart of it that comes from me. There's a little piece of me in every character I write, And I want to make movies that haunt people, that they walk away from thinking, wow, that was intense. Or, hey, that's like me. Or, they relate to it. Because, art reminds us we're not alone. That's a quote from somebody, I'm not going to say who. And the thing is, it's true. It's a principle I knew long before I ever read him saying it. It's just the way he put it was perfect. It's short and sweet and very accurate. And I've always found a lot of solace in things like movies and music especially. Music is like my heart, and mostly lyrics. I mean, it has to have music I like, from a musical standpoint, but it's primarily lyrics. I was a poet all during my teens and still am every once in a while. Really bad poetry. But back to the screenplay issue. I don't want to make big blockbusters. I don't want to make high budget anything with big names. I don't want it to be about money or about box office. I will be very comfortable if I get to write and direct my own movies, and they're indie movies. I think some of the best written movies I've ever seen are little indies that not a whole lot of people saw. And the thing is it's kind of like a vicious cycle. People go to the big blockbusters and go to the big movies. And because people go to them, they keep making them. Whereas, it's like sheep. That's what I call it. I almost rarely ever see any of the big movies. If it was like number 1 or number 2 or number 3. Most of the time I will never see it. Unless it's on TV and there's nothing else on and I'm doing 5 other things at the time and just listening to it. And I don't mean that it's put down anybody who watches them because, everybody is entertained by different things. And I have to have more of a heart in the things that I like. That, and I like horror movies. I'm like a horror movie junkie. It's horrible. Anyway, but, I'll give you an example of a little indie movie that just really just haunted me. It's called Trust. It had Adrian Shelley and, his last name's Donovan. I can't remember his name. He did recently in the movie, The Honey in Connecticut. It's not Michael. Martin Donovan. I adore him. He's not, he's a little character actor that he might be one of those people who say, hey, I know who that guy is, but what's his name? He was that guy in that movie. But the movie Trust was a little indie I saw on Bravo from years ago. And it haunted me. And it's not that it was some big, spectacular artistic feat, but there's just something in it that resonated with me, and that moved me, and stays with me even to this day. And I want to make movies that do things like that to me. I want movies that for years will stick in someone's mind and will evoke a emotion. I want people to feel when they see my movies, and I want them to empathize, and I want them to relate, and I want them to take something from it other than, hey, I just killed 2 hours, hour and a half watching this movie, you know. So I'm not real into the mindless screenwriting thing. But my movies, just like any other movie, are written about the human condition, and about situations that aren't necessarily what you'd expect. I have one that I wrote that I'm not going to go into any details because I don't have it registered with the WGA yet, that I honestly have not ever seen a movie written about what it's written about. That doesn't mean it's not out there, it just means I haven't seen it. So that doesn't really mean anything. But I try to take a very fresh and unique and roadless travel approach to what I write. It's very much from my heart. What I write is very much, you know, comes from the core of me and comes from a very naked place within me. So I love to write. It's my passion. And when the story comes to me, I can't get it out fast enough. It's just, it's overwhelming. It's like, just, you know, I can't even put it in words, can't articulate correctly. It's like the most ultimate rush or high ever. Being in that state of intense creativity. I love it. If I could, I'd live there, but I would get so burned out physically and mentally, because I'll go like 18, 20 hours non-stop writing, not even wanting to get up and go to the bathroom or eat or drink or sleep or anything. And I mean, I've done that, not with everything I've written, but there's been times that I've done that because there was just so much just forming in my head instantaneously, trying to get out, and I wanted to get it out and not go to sleep and not interrupt. So, and you get a really dead butt when you do that, when you sit at a computer for 18 hours writing. It's like, oh, my butt's gonna fall off. Okay. I'm done for this one.